Your reality is a reflection of your assumptions. The way he acts is not separate from you. It is a mirror of your beliefs. You are the operative power. You assign meaning to his silence. It is not the silence that has power, but the meaning you give it. He moves as you assume him to move. If you assume he never initiates, you will find that assumption hardening into fact. The law is impersonal. The universe does not judge. It simply fulfills what you consistently accept as true. Change your concept of self, and he will change. Do not try to force him to text first. Become the version of yourself who naturally receives what she desires. Live in the end. Feel the joy of receiving his text now, and reality will conform to your inner world. Speech. There is a law governing all things, and it is this: as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. If you say, he never texts me first, you are decreeing that truth into existence. The outer world is but a shadow cast by your inner assumptions. Ask yourself, what story have you been telling? Have you not, in secret moments of doubt, accepted the idea that he does not care enough to reach out first? Have you not felt the sting of waiting, checking your phone, hoping? But hope is not faith, and it is faith that moves mountains. Your world is not separate from you. It is not happening to you. It is happening through you. He is not acting by his own accord. He is moving according to the script you have written in your mind. Change the script, and the actor must play his new role. Let us test the law, for the law never fails. Tonight, as you lay in bed, do not lament his silence. Revise it. See his name light up on your phone. Feel the thrill of his words reaching out to you. And as you fall asleep, dwell in the certainty that he eagerly desires to speak with you. Do not chase. Do not beg. Do not even wonder. Simply know. If a man never texts you first, it is only because you have assumed he would not. Change the assumption, and you will find that reality is but clay in the hands of the sculptor. Everything you experience in life is a projection of the beliefs you hold within. The world you see is not separate from you, nor is it something happening to you. It is happening through you, shaped and molded by your assumptions. Those deeply held ideas you accept as true without question. The way people treat you, the opportunities that come or do not come, the circumstances you find yourself in, all emerge from the silent activity of your inner world. If you assume that a man never texts you first, that assumption crystallizes into fact. You will find yourself in situations where he does not initiate conversation, and you will take this as confirmation of what you believed all along. But what you fail to see is that the confirmation did not come first. The assumption did. The world simply reflects back to you what you have internally accepted as true. The outer world is nothing but a mirror. The mirror does not create an image. It only reflects what is placed before it. Your thoughts, beliefs, and expectations act as the unseen force that determines what appears in this mirror. You do not receive what you want. You receive what you assume to be true. You may desire love, attention, and effort from a person, but if your deeper assumption is that you are not prioritized, or that people do not value you, your reality will take the shape of that belief. Many believe that circumstances dictate their beliefs, that they must first see change before they can believe it. But this is the great misunderstanding. Circumstances are nothing more than the outpicturing of past assumptions. If you hold the belief that men always make the first move, if you accept without doubt that they are eager to pursue and reach out to you, this will be the reality that unfolds. If, on the other hand, you assume that men hesitate, that they are indifferent, or that you must always be the one to initiate, then that too will be reflected in your experience. It is never about the individual, nor is it about luck or randomness. It is always about the concept you hold of yourself in relation to others. If you see yourself as someone who is always pursued, adored, and prioritized, the world must conform to that assumption. The people in your life, whether they realize it or not, are simply playing roles in the script you have unknowingly written. They act in accordance with the energy you project, and they respond to the expectations you hold. To change the external, you must first change the internal. There's no need to beg, plead, or manipulate. There's no need to analyze his actions or decode his behavior. All that is required is a shift in awareness, a new assumption that you are the one who is effortlessly desired, that people naturally seek your presence, and that the love and attention you desire flows to you with ease. There is no force outside of you controlling your life. No external power decides your fate. No person holds dominion over your experiences, and no event occurs independently of your state of consciousness. You are the operant power, the one who gives life to circumstances, the one who determines the unfolding of your reality. Everything you see, everything you experience is responding to the assumptions you hold and the feelings you cultivate within. You may believe that life happens to you, that people act of their own accord without any influence from you. But this is an illusion. The world moves in accordance with the reality you accept as true. If you assume that you are ignored, overlooked, or undesired, you will find evidence of this assumption everywhere you look. Not because it is objectively true, but because you, as the operant power, have given that truth dominion over your reality. The mistake many make is believing that circumstances dictate their beliefs, when in fact it is their beliefs that dictate circumstances. A person who assumes they are loved, cherished, and prioritized will naturally experience a life that reflects these assumptions. They will not need to beg for attention, chase after validation, or analyze every interaction in search of meaning. Instead, they will live in the effortless knowing that they are chosen, and the world will mold itself to reflect that knowing. The way people behave toward you, the way events unfold, even the smallest details of your life, all of it is responding to the story you hold within. If you assume that a man never texts you first, you are not observing reality as it is. You are shaping reality into what you believe to be true. He is not acting of his own will. He is playing a role in the script you have unconsciously assigned to him. Nothing outside of you has the power to dictate your experience. No person has free will in your reality, other than the free will you grant them through your assumptions. If you assume someone is distant, they will be. If you assume they are eager and attentive, they must conform, not because you are forcing them, but because you are the operant power and the law cannot contradict itself. And when you accept this truth, you will cease to look outside of yourself for validation. You will no longer wonder why things are the way they are or seek solutions in external actions. You will recognize that all transformation begins within, and as you shift your inner world, your outer world must follow. There is no effort required, no struggle needed, only the quiet, unwavering knowing that you are the cause and your reality is the effect. The question is never, why isn't he texting me first? The real question is, what am I assuming to be true about myself and my relationships? Because the answer to that question will reveal the root of your experience. The power is always in your hands, and the moment you recognize this, the moment you claim your authority over your reality, everything must shift to reflect your new awareness. Every person in your world is moving according to the script you have written for them in your mind. No one acts independently of your consciousness. They're simply playing the roles you have unconsciously assigned to them. The way he treats you, the way he communicates, the way he shows up or does not show up is a direct reflection of the assumptions you hold about him. He moves as you assume him to move, and nothing in your external world can contradict what you have accepted as true within yourself. Many believe that others have complete free will in their lives, that a man texts or does not text based on his own independent desires, detached from your influence. But this belief is an illusion. He does not act in your reality outside of the framework you have created for him. If you assume he is distant, if you believe he is indifferent, if you tell yourself the story that he does not prioritize you, he must fulfill this role, not because he consciously chooses it, but because you have already assumed it into being. It is not his actions that dictate your beliefs, it is your beliefs that dictate his actions. If you continuously affirm that he never texts first, you will find that this becomes your experience. You will check your phone and find no new messages. You will feel the frustration of waiting, and yet all of it will be happening in perfect accordance with your assumptions. Your belief that he does not initiate contact will solidify into fact, and you will take his silence as proof that your assumption was correct, never realizing that the assumption came first. But just as you unconsciously assume him into distance, you can just as easily assume him into closeness. If you shift your inner reality and accept without doubt that he is eager to talk to you, that he naturally reaches out, that he desires to be in your presence, he must conform to this new assumption. He will move in accordance with the role you have now assigned to him, because that is the law. He will text first, not because you force him to, not because you begged or chased, but because reality has no choice but to reflect your new belief. You do not need to manipulate, plead, or take frantic action to make him behave differently. You only need to adjust your assumption of him. If you see him as someone who always puts in effort, who cherishes and prioritizes you, that is exactly how he will show up in your life. He cannot move in any other way because you are the one directing the play. The world does not act independently of you. It moves. There is no need to question, no need to wonder when or how things will change. The moment you truly accept the new assumption, the shift has already begun. He moves as you assume him to move. And when you claim this truth, you will watch as reality bends to reflect your deepest knowing. The law does not judge, nor does it discriminate. It does not take into account whether you believe yourself to be worthy or unworthy, whether you think something is fair or unfair. It simply reflects back to you what you persistently assume to be true. Like a mirror that does not care who stands before it, the law functions without bias, fulfilling the state of consciousness you occupy. Many believe that their circumstances are shaped by external forces, luck, destiny, or the actions of others. But the law is not concerned with personal circumstances, nor does it favor one person over another. It operates with perfect impartiality, responding only to what you accept as reality within yourself. If you assume that life is difficult, that love is scarce, that people neglect you, then the law must bring these conditions into your experience, not because it wishes to punish you, but because it is bound to express what you assume to be true. The law does not recognize whether an assumption is pleasant or unpleasant, beneficial or detrimental. It only recognizes that which you hold as fact within your mind. If you assume that a man never texts you first, the law will not intervene to tell you otherwise. It will not consider whether you deserve to be pursued. It will simply fulfill the assumption, and you will experience the very thing you have declared as true. The law does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you believe. This is why it is futile to complain about circumstances, to wish that things were different while holding on to the same inner beliefs. The law does not respond to words spoken in desperation, nor does it grant exceptions based on emotion. It remains unmoved by pleading, by frustration, by hope unaccompanied by conviction. It operates with unwavering consistency, manifesting only what aligns with your dominant state of being. If the law were personal, it might take pity on those who suffer. It might alter reality for those who feel they have been wrong, but the law does not waver. It is neither cruel nor kind. It is simply exact. It gives to each according to their faith, regardless of whether they consciously understand the process. It does not adjust itself based on what you think you deserve. It aligns only with what you assume to be true. When you recognize this, you'll cease to view the world as something happening to you and instead see it as something happening through you. You will understand that there is no force working against you, no injustice being done. There is only the law, moving in perfect accordance with your state of mind. If you wish to change your reality, you do not need to fight, struggle, or seek external validation. You need only shift your assumptions, for the law must fulfill them without hesitation, without question, and without exception. The way he treats you is not determined by his independent thoughts or desires. He is not acting outside of your influence, nor is he making decisions in isolation from your inner world. His behavior is simply a reflection of the concept you hold of yourself in relation to him. If you want him to change, you do not need to persuade, manipulate, or wait for him to realize your worth. You only need to change the way you see yourself. Your concept of self is the foundation of your entire reality. It shapes every experience, every relationship, and every interaction you have. If you see yourself as someone who is always chosen, loved, and pursued, then this assumption must be reflected in your relationships. If, on the other hand, you see yourself as someone who is ignored, undervalued, or not prioritized, then this too will be reflected back to you. People, including him, are only ever responding to the state of being you embody. Many believe that others behave a certain way because of their own free will, but this is not true. He is playing the role you have assigned to him. moving in alignment with the identity you hold of yourself. If you assume you are the one who always has to initiate, then you will experience this repeatedly. If you assume that men do not put in effort for you, you will see this assumption harden into fact. You will put the moment you shift your concept of self, everything must change to reflect this new belief. You do not need to focus on him, analyze his actions, or try to figure out why he does what he does. All of that is unnecessary because he is not the cause. Your self-concept is. If you begin to see yourself as a woman who is effortlessly pursued, who naturally receives attention, who is valued and prioritized, then he must reflect this shift. His actions will change not because you force them to, but because he can no longer behave in a way that contradicts your new assumption. This is the power of self-concept. It overrides past experiences, dissolves old patterns, and redefines how others show up in your life. When you step into the knowing that you are worthy, chosen, and adored, the world reorganizes itself to match this truth. He will text first, he will put in effort, he will see you in a new light. Not because he decided to, but because your new self-concept does not allow for anything less. There is no need to seek external validation or proof before believing in your new identity. The proof will come only after you assume it to be true. If you wish to experience a new version of him, you must first become a new version of yourself. Change your concept of self, and he will have no choice but to change with you. Reality does not unfold based on what you want. It unfolds based on what you accept as already true. The secret to effortless manifestation is to live in the end, to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, to know with certainty that it is already done. The world is not separate from your imagination. It is shaped by it, responding to the state you occupy. When you persist in the end result, external circumstances must conform to that assumption, no matter how impossible it may seem. Many operate from a place of lack, reacting to what they see rather than creating what they desire. They check their phones, feel disappointment at his silence, and reinforce the belief that he never reaches out first. But this is the opposite of living in the end. To live in the end is to disregard present circumstances and persist in the assumption that he is already acting exactly as you desire. It is to feel, right now, the joy and security of being someone who is pursued, adored, and prioritized. If you desire him to text you first, you must not dwell in the state of waiting, hoping, or questioning. These states imply that your desire is not yet yours. And as long as you remain in them, you will continue to experience a reality where he does not reach out. Instead, you must assume the version of yourself for whom this is already natural reality. You must enter the state where receiving his messages is effortless, expected, and completely normal. Your mind does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. When you assume something as true and persist in that assumption, your subconscious mind accepts it as fact, and the world must rearrange itself accordingly. You are not forcing him to act. You are shifting into the version of reality where he naturally does. You are aligning with the outcome you desire, making it inevitable rather than uncertain. Living in the end does not mean looking for signs, checking for progress, or doubting when results do not appear immediately. These actions only confirm that you are still living in the state of waiting, not in the state of already having. You must dwell so deeply in the feeling of fulfillment that the outer world no longer dictates your inner state. When you can fully embody the certainty that your desire is already realized, it is only a matter of time before reality reflects this truth. You do not need to chase, beg, or overanalyze. You do not need to wonder what he's thinking or